Hi, Shabir. Lovely to meet you,
Hi,
even though it's virtually.
thank you so
First,
much.
where are you? Are you in Kashmir right now,
Yeah, I'm in Kashmir.
in Srinagar, or somewhere else?
No, I'm outside Srinagar. It's a place called Pulwama.
Yes,
Just
Pulama. I
about,
read about it. Yes, I read about it in your magnificent, magnificent book. Um, Kashmir has a lot of memories for me. That's why I was asking you where. My father was in the railways, and we used to go to Kashmir very often. I'm talking about, I think the 60s and maybe 70s, somewhere around there. You know how old I am because I was in school and college and all that. And I have such wonderful memories of Kashmir. I had a very close friend also who had a place on Dal Lake. This is before everything sort of kind of exploded. And we went to Pahalgaon a lot. And I did a lot of reading in Pahalgaon because there were these beautiful railway guest houses next to a stream. And I have just beautiful memories of Kashmir. The book, I wanted to just tell you first that I loved your book. I really, really loved it. I don't know, for some reason, it reminded me, it's not the story as such. I'll explain why probably it reminded me. It reminded me of The Kite Runner. I don't know why. This story in a sense of childhood, in a story of relationships, very poignant, very traumatic, in a place of strife, in a place of conflict, in a place that was so close to us and yet so removed from us. A sort of a very magical, not in a sort of I don't mean it in a sort of fairy tale magical, in a very removed world and yet a very fascinating world, and deeply, deeply, deeply moving book. I found your book very, very moving. So I wanted to tell you that. And my first question was, which sort of must have been asked by a lot of people, that how much of this was culled from your own experiences, from people that you knew, older people who had gone through things during the 90s and in that period that it's set. How much is a little bit from your own imagination? So where did this, I read somewhere that you wrote it in 3 months, like just it just poured out of you. So in that sense it must have been inside you, ये कहानियां आपके अंदर ही होंगी बहुत देर से, बहुत दिनों से, and then they just came out like this jailam out of you kind of thing. So I wanted to know how that happened for you. you know how did the material come to you first?
Well, to start with, yes, I have said it time and again that this book was finished in 3 months straight. But the thing that everybody misses is that those 3 months were the actual process of writing. And I got down and started writing. But the things that went beyond that, all those stories that kept off piling up, those were years in making.
Yeah.
As you said, you found something similar that you can't probably put your finger on between Kite Runner and this book. I'm not sure whether there are any similarities, but I can tell you one thing. जो मेरा observation है कि it's like in a place of conflict, the most important thing that you miss, that you eventually come to recognize that you have missed, is your childhood. So
Yes.
maybe that thing runs parallel in both these books. क्या होता है कि when you are old enough to realize that the life that you have lived, the childhood that you left behind, it could have been very much different. It could have been very much, there would have been different things to do. There could have been different ways to go about it. But when you were a child, you didn't realize it. You tried to live as best as you could given the circumstances. But later on, as you come to your senses, as you realize things, as you get a grasp of all those things, that one thing, that childhood,
Yeah.
you miss that hurts the most. And that's one thing that maybe is running parallel between these two books.
Hmm.
So yes, of course, the stories or characters or whatever circumstances are there in the book, it took years in making, in the sense that they were inside me, these things were happening to me, these things were being witnessed by me, and when the time came, they just poured out. So that was one aspect of it. That 3 months, okay, actual physical process of writing was 3 months only, but the whole book was not only about those 3 months. It was about maybe a lifetime, whatever I have lived so far here. It was, and whatever people have lived before me. It was a culmination of all those things. So that's one thing. And the other part of your question about how much of it is real stories. So actually, the point that I was trying to make through this book is that very thing that you observe things, you witness things, you remember things, things are being told to you. Then you try to make some sense out of them. So those things, that whatever you actually witnessed as a first person, you witnessed something, an incident, you witnessed it in your own person. Then later on, years later, you read about it, somebody telling you about this, but you were the first person to witness, you were in the first person to witness that. The reconciliation between that memory and that narration, that's what was an important aspect of this book. To reconcile those two things. And based upon those two things, you can see the actual thing that happened. That is the fact. That's what we usually tend to call as a fact. And then your imagination, your memory that plays on it, that part is maybe the author, the artist, and the whole book is a culmination of those two things. So in that sense, it is 50% truth and 50% imagination.
Yes, because you couldn't have been there for everything that you heard.
Obviously.
So you have to visualize in your head. So that is very true. And I felt that. I felt that you some of this you have lived, some of this you have heard. I mean, the truth is always, you can smell the truth. There is truth there in all those stories. And the rest, like when someone tells you, an older person tells you a story about something that happened to him, of course you fill in all your details yourself in your own imagination, even as a child, when a grown-up tells you a story.
Exactly.
So did you live during that period, some of that period yourself? You must have been very, very young at that time, extremely young.
Yeah.
I
mean, see, I was born in 80s, 86 to be precise. So
oh my God, please, that's too young. That's younger than my daughters. That's marvelous. That is marvelous, Shabir, that at this age, my God, तुम्हारे आगे क्या क्या है करने के लिए, बहुत कुछ करोगे, इंशाअल्लाह बहुत कुछ करोगे. इस उम्र में तुमने इतनी अच्छी किताब लिखी है, तब तो मतलब, we'll be hearing about a booker very soon for you, really.
Actually, the point I wanted to make was that 86 born का मेरा ये point था कि conflict in present scenario, it almost started around that period. It's 78, 89. Even though the history goes much back beyond that. So the actual process of violence that started around 88, 89. So I was just maybe 1 या 2 साल का बच्चा था, 3 साल का बच्चा. Even the maximum rent जो हुआ वो that was between 90 and say around 98, 97. So all that period जो था वो मेरा, I was just a kid. So during that period, even I didn't realize what was happening around me. For me, it was a normal thing. I mean, okay, there was a curfew after 6, after there was a blackout after 7. So when you repeatedly live through those blackouts, they sort of become normal to you. You don't know there is a place beyond all those things.
And I wanted to ask you, like a lot of writers, like my friend Girish Karnad, who used to think in Kannada, Kannada, and then he used to translate his own work into English. How do you think? Do you think in Kashmiri and then you write it in English, or you write it first in Kashmiri and then you translate it into English? How does it work for you? I know I've asked you a lot of things, but
no, that's a very interesting question. So I have been thinking about all those things. Actually, my writing process, the way I see it, I can दो चीजें हो रही है मेरे साथ. Sometimes I try to write poetry. So in that sense, it's always about I try to think in Kashmiri, and the Kashmiri literature itself derives its tradition from Urdu, which in turn goes back to Persian and Arabic and things like that. So what happens like that? उस सूरत में you think of a poem in your head, you visualize it in Kashmiri terms, and then you go on, expressing it in an English language. But in case of this novel particularly, and in case of my prose, it becomes very difficult to translate later on. So I have to literally, take my character and place it in almost a setting where he will be talking in English, because otherwise बहुत problem होती है later on. Those things, those finer nuances in language, in expression, in imagery, they do not translate literally well. So you have to take care of them firsthand. Otherwise, एक दो short stories के साथ मेरे ऐसा हुआ है कि you literally see the fiction there. कि शायद कुछ और हो रहा है, कुछ और, you almost think like you are reading a poor translation of the original version. So I didn't want
Yes.
that thing to happen with this. So
No,
in
I
this
felt
case,
like
it was.
you have. I felt, Shabir, like you've written it in English. It seemed like that to me. It seemed very much like that because, the flow
There are
of
no
it.
traces of Kashmiri in it.
No.
Yes, that's the point. The actual technique was to strip down the character to maybe giving him no language at all. Think about his only his thoughts. कोई character है मेरे सामने, just get in his head what he is thinking. Don't try to
Yeah.
imagine if he's thinking in English or
How he's
Urdu or
thinking.
whatever language it is.
Yes.
Yes, once
Just
you imagine.
You're just communicating his thought. That's all. There's
Yes,
no.
exactly. That is the process.
Yes. That is what I got. So tell me, how
That
is it like in Kashmir today with your children, and how are things there? Their school, their childhood. How normal is it over there?
See, things, I guess, at some level are pretty same. I mean, with this lockdown, the things just got more complicated.
Yeah.
But I don't see any change as such. It's still the same thing. For children, what matters, those basic routine things that are being set up right now, they were almost the same as in our time. I mean, they are there, they know that when something happens, there is something outside, there will be certain shutdown, you have to lock yourself inside your house, or in the middle of night, there might be an coordinate search operation. So you will have be bringing them outside while the search operation goes inside your house, or in any locality by there might be a certain encounter and all that. So they have to be always on their guard. So things right now, they are not realizing these things. What is happening for them? This is just setting up a normal thing. Okay, just 7 or 8 October, you can't have anything going outside, or on certain days, on certain occasions, there is this atmosphere of so much fear. They just internalize it and normalize it. And as I said earlier, years later, 10 years, 15 years from now, when they look back at it, I think they will be feeling same as right now I am feeling about my childhood, 20 years, 30 years later. And that is the thing that will hurt them most. That is precisely the point I was trying to make earlier. Things haven't changed as we'd like to see them, that they have changed. Okay, there may be some cosmetic changes, there may be a different set of things that is right now happening, but at the base, that fear, that insecurity, that
Uncertainty.
normalization of the normalization of so much violence, that's always there.
Yeah. From that, I wanted to ask you one more thing. When I read your book, the first thing I felt when I read it, aside from loving it as a piece of writing and as narrative, was that you were really very brave. I felt you were very brave to write a book like this, and I wondered how people, not the common people in Kashmir, but authorities and the powers that be, how had they reacted to a book like this? Because it's very, very honest, and it's rather strong. I mean, it's a very powerful book. It's a very powerful, very moving, a very important book, at least for someone like me who knows very little. I mean, I'm not a historian, so I don't know, and this is not just history and facts. It's woven into a complex human sort of space. So it becomes very, very different from just reading some bare facts about, Kashmir 1980 ye hua, 1982 mein ye hua, 84 mein ye hua. I mean, all of us, of course, have read things through our lives about Kashmir. But this brought it right here, home, to our hearts, the story. And we could not remain unmoved by it. But yet it was also very, very, what is the word I'm looking for? No holds barred. I wanted to commend you on that and say that, that's a quality in a writer which is something I admire greatly, to be able to tell it as it is, to tell the truth fearlessly. And I wonder what sort of reactions you've had to that.
Okay, first let me clear one thing. जब मैं ये book लिख रहा था, my point was not that I was taking any sides, or even for the matter of it was not as if I was trying to, say the story of Kashmir. ऐसा मेरा कोई इंटेंशन था नहीं कि मैं आपको बोलूंगा कि कश्मीर में क्या हो रहा है. यू नो, as far as I am concerned, I think आज ऐसा जमाना है with all those social media and internet connectivity. If anybody wants to get anybody's version about anything, he can do it in a matter of seconds. So my point was not I was going to write a book that will tell everybody what is Kashmir, what happened here, what is going to happen, or any solution.
I must tell you, I didn't get that. मुझे ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं लगा कि आप मुझे कुछ कश्मीर के हिस्ट्री के बारे में या वहाँ क्या क्या हुआ था उसके बारे में बताने के लिए किताब लिखे हैं. वो मेरे को बिल्कुल नहीं लगा. ये इसमें आपका अपना पर्सनल इन्वेस्टमेंट जो आप जानते हैं जो आपके साथ हुआ है वो सब इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग है कि दैट पर्सनल एलिमेंट इज सो स्ट्रॉन्ग. दिस इज लाइक द बैकड्रॉप. This story of these 4 friends is against this backdrop.
The way I want to put it is like this: the book is not about Kashmir; it's about Kashmiris. So, lots of people ask me कि आपकी book में कश्मीर का description नहीं है. There are no beautiful landscapes in the background and all those beautiful things. So मेरा जवाब यही था कि I was not trying to put Kashmir in front of you, whatever is happening there. I was just trying to explore what happened to a Kashmiri in all that cycle of violence and conflict. What happens to an average Kashmiri? Maybe
how
he ends up doing.
How does it impact you?
Obviously, and the reactions that came, they were surprising. I mean, even though it's not as simple as that to divide people here between this group and that group, there are always things in the gray in between. But broadly speaking, the reaction from both sides have been favorable and unfavorable as well. I mean, okay, let's take one thing that's anti-establishment. They have been appreciating who. There's a portion of people out there who have been saying, okay, this is a good thing, you have done this, like this, feedback, informal as well as formal, in the form of reviews, discussions, everything. And there are people at that side, Kashmiris, who are saying that you have, at some level, you have betrayed us. I mean, you have done like, you have projected. Yes, obviously, I have been receiving those things that you have not projected any hero. In fact, I remember one review where the only thing that they had against the book was that you have projected every Kashmiri as a sort of degraded person who has been crushed by this violence and his moral compass is lost. So, मेरा जवाब उनके लिए भी यही था right then, because that is what's happening. You can see an average Kashmiri when he's faced with a survival, with an threat to his survival, the first thing he chooses is not bravery, is not courage, is not heroism. He just wants to survive. Maybe not just for himself, for his children, for his family, because when one person is involved, and that for me is a great act of bravery. And I could not have commended anybody better than that. So it has been a mixed bag of stuff, and I'm enjoying it. And honestly, I'm enjoying all that. Because
of course, to me, all art, ultimately, if it has to provoke you, if it doesn't shift your perspective of how you look at life, how you understand life, if it doesn't give you something new to think about, to alter your lens a little bit, then it's a little bit of a waste of time for me at this age when I've reached. कुछ उसमें से कुछ मिलना चाहिए, कुछ provocation होना चाहिए. So what is on the cards for you for your new book? I read a little bit about it, but why don't you tell us about it? Because I felt like it's 180 degrees from the plague upon us. You've certainly sort of, which is lovely, which shows your versatility also. So tell us a little about that.
Well, the book that I'm currently trying to write, basically it is about, as you have said it, I have already spoken about in a couple of interviews. It's an attempt about writing about a weaver, in fact, who tries to weave a carpet that will fly. That's the basic premise. And the way I have set it up, I'm trying to set it up in the earlier part of 20th century in Srinagar, but not the literal Srinagar that we have here or that was present at that point, in early 90s. It was actually a Srinagar of my imagination. So maybe things might get changed a bit here and there. The basic intention is to investigate, all that process that goes behind that whole creativity thing. The carpet weaving industry in Kashmir, it used to be very an industry of wonder. So much famous outside India, so many great things were the shawl weavers and the carpet weavers. But there are certain things that they that is so fascinating. You know, they used to have that whole design of a carpet in front of them. That is what we call as a tali. You know, it's basically circles and lines. And they used to read everything from those combinations and permutations of those two things. The color they have to use, the knot they have to tie, the number of knots they have to tie. And that was one beautiful aspect of that. On the other hand, there was this brutal repression over those carpet weavers. They were really, really living in very terrible times. They were not allowed
They
to
were
leave
living.
their profession. If they were living
Sorry, I
in
didn't get
really,
that.
really terrible. Sorry, the carpet weavers
Repression.
of Kashmir. Okay, in that period, they were living in really terrible times. They were heavily taxed. They were almost literally, you know, sort of bonded labor sort of thing. They could not leave their profession. If they left, they would be caught by the authorities and brought back, and they had to do it time and time again. And you
Mm.
know, it was of such a level of brutal repression that if somebody really wanted to leave that profession, the only way he had to do was to cut off his thumb so that he cannot tie any more knots.
My
So
God.
it's a very fascinating thing, those things that happened during that period and the way it plays. You know, on one side you have this artist at work, his romantic image of sitting down, trying to weave a carpet that will tie and all those things. And the second aspect of that was what was the relationship between that art and his artist, how his time, you living in that time, how everything was panning out of him. So the basic attempt is to try something like that. But let's see, I'm not sure where it will lead me.
Sounds wonderful. Sounds wonderful. Anyway, your book sounds wonderful. It's sort of going into the slightly magic realism area, sort of very different from your earlier book. And I'm so happy you're trying other genres, other forms. It was lovely talking to you. And I know I could keep chatting with you, but I think I think that they have a time limit. And so I wish you all the best. And I really, really enjoyed your book. I hope a lot of people get to see and I mean, get to hear it, get to read it, Shabir. I'm certainly going to recommend it to a lot of my friends. I thought it was one of the really the most powerful books I've read for a while. So thank you for giving me that pleasure, and I wish you all the best in your
Thank you so
new
much.
book
Really,
and for the
really,
prize.
really enjoyed talking to you. Really enjoyed talking to you.
I
Thank you
did
so much.
too. I did too. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I send lots of love for your lovely three little girls.
Thank you.
Bye bye.